Hi, I'm Rich, and this is Rich Mid Gaming. In this, the first of a series of videos that we're putting together, we're going to be looking at each of the heroes from Journeys in Middle-earth, assessing each hero in turn and scoring them on their damage, survivability, movement, unique cards that they carry, special abilities, and also a score on just how well they're represented in the game. In this first video, we're going to take a look at the Prince of Mirkwood himself, Legolas. Where many elves of Mirkwood are skilled, Legolas excels with bow and blade, perceiving what others cannot and moving without impediment or trace. Nevertheless, a son to the king of the woodland realm, much of Legolas's life is overshadowed by the grandeur of his father, even as the kingdom shrinks before the darkness in the south. Where once the borders of Mirkwood were revered, now orcs, dwarves, and even stranger folk called hobbits travel. The world is in motion, fueled by a spreading darkness. Whether at home or abroad, Legolas stands ready to lend his superior talent and skill in the fight against the rising evil. In Journeys of Middle-earth, much like in the Lord of the Rings books and in the movies, Legolas is quick and deadly, able to strike true and support his allies from further away thanks to his ability with a bow. He can also draw on his abilities such as immortality to make himself an even better shot if needed, rest up, recuperate on the road, ready to carry on the fight. Let's take a look at his character card. With 2 in might and spirit, 3 in wisdom and wit, and 4 in agility, we can see that Legolas is really designed to use that great bow and do some long range damage. His inspiration can have a maximum of 5 tokens at any one time, and he can succumb to 6 fear and 4 damage. His special ability, which he can use once per round, allows him to spend 1 inspiration point to move 1 space. Let's start by looking at the potential damage output of Legolas.
You would die before your stroke fell.
Utilising the great bow, even in the first episode of a campaign, Legolas can achieve 2 hits with 1 success, 5 hits with 2 successes, and 7 hits if he manages to get 3. Add to this cards such as Precise Strike, Keen Eyes, and Immortality, and Legolas is a really good damage dealer early game. It is, however, in the mid to late game where he really starts to shine. Legolas has access to potentially huge upgrades throughout the campaign. Weapons such as the Silverfall bow have a potential damage output of 10 hits with pierce and cleave.
That still only counts as 1.
Not to mention the various hunter cards to add additional keywords, or one of my favourites, the Falcon Companion, which applies 3 hits and a pierce to an enemy in an adjacent space without even taking up an action. And it's this late game damage and the fact that it's pretty much all at range, so no enemy retaliation, that really does push his score up here. So for damage, I'm giving Legolas 5. Now, onto survivability. With only 4 points of damage, at first glance, things don't look too good for Legolas. But with the starting Hunter card of Resourceful giving him 1 inspiration from the off, Keen Eyes allowing him to stay back and be 1 space away, and Immortality allowing him to rest up at the end of turn if he wishes to, he does have the ability to get himself out of trouble. That said, however, Legolas is not going to be able to stand toe-to-toe with too many orcs, wargs and trolls for too long, and mainly because of that 4 health, I'm going to give Legolas a 3 out of 5 for survivability. Movement isn't the main part of Legolas's arsenal. He isn't going to be charging up and down the maps like some of the other heroes that we have access to, but he does have a few tricks up his sleeve. Starting with 2 cards of light-footed, which allow him to use Sprint 1 if he so wishes, and his unique movement ability do push his score up a little bit, but even then, I'm only giving Legolas a 2 out of 5 for movement. Now let's take a look at Legolas's unique cards. We mentioned a couple of them already, but here they are again so you can take a look at them. We have Keen Eyes, Light-footed, we get 2 copies of that, Immortality and Tireless. The clear winners here for me are Keen Eyes, which give Legolas +1 range, and Tireless. Keen Eyes on a journey map is very, very good. And as I mentioned earlier, it does make up for that some of his lack of movement. But on a battle map, it becomes very, very overpowered. Legolas is able to stand back, deal all of the damage, pick off all of the enemies, clear the way for his fellow companions then to get to wherever they need to go and complete whatever tasks are at hand. Tireless allows him at the end of a turn to perform 1 extra action that he hasn't already taken. And this really allows you to make some big, big plays with Legolas, whether that's double attacking and moving to reposition yourself, or being able to interact with an extra token towards the end of the turn. I think there's some great, great synergy between his unique playing cards and how, at least I personally want to play Legolas, allowing me to be a little bit more versatile with him at times and not just being that damage dealer. And with all this, I'm going to give Legolas 4 out of 5 for his unique cards. Now let's take a quick look at Legolas's special ability. As we mentioned earlier, his special ability allows Legolas to move 1 extra space, but for the cost of an inspiration token. Now he can do this once per round, and it must be his turn when he performs this. But, and this is the really good part, it does not provoke enemy attacks when moving through spaces with enemies in. This means that Legolas can disengage from enemies before attacking them without a penalty, or just getting that 1 extra point of movement speed that he needs to get where he's going to go. I think this is a really, really good ability, and I give Legolas 4 out of 5. Lastly then is how well I personally think Legolas is represented in the game. And the way that I sort of judge this last category is, do I feel like it's Legolas when I'm playing it? The Legolas I know from the books and from the movies. And the answer is yes. His hand-to-hand combat definitely doesn't shine in the same way that it does in the movies or in the books. But overall, he is exactly what I want Legolas to be.
Legolas, what do your elf eyes see?
The Uruks turn northeast. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard.
He deals a great amount of damage from further away than anybody else can, and is my personal go-to damage dealer when I'm playing Journeys in Middle-earth. Because of that, I'm going to score Legolas 4.5 out of 5. So let's quickly recap on all of those points and see how Legolas scored. So we gave him 5 out of 5 for damage, 3 out of 5 for survivability, 2 out of 5 for movement, 4 out of 5 for his unique cards, 4 out of 5 for his special ability, and 4.5 out of 5 for his representation in the game, giving him a total score of 22.5 out of a possible 30 points.
A slight tingle in my fingers.
So with all that done, here are my final thoughts on Legolas in Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. I think he's a really, really good character in the game. I think he represents Legolas really, really well. He's got some great damage abilities, both early game, but especially in late game. You're going to want to stack those inspiration tokens on him. He will churn through them as he's converting that fate into successes, or even just using it for the extra movement. One thing we didn't really touch on was his overall miniature, so the miniature you get in the game. As with the rest of the miniature in this box, it's a beautiful sculpt. Looks really, really good, really, really nice to paint up, as you can see here. And I think overall he's a character that can be played by any level of ability character, whether it's the first time playing the game and you're looking for somebody who's just going to give you good, solid damage, or if you've played through a few campaigns and you want to try something completely different with him, maybe give him the staff and see how he fares in hand-to-hand combat. But guys, let me know in the comments, do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you score him more? Would you score him less? Let me know what you think, and I'll see what you guys have to say about it. So with all that, stay safe, keep well, and I will catch you guys next time. Take care. Bye for now.